to Raian Karanjawala, the managing partner of Karanjawala and Company. Mr. Karanjawala, of course, was strategizing the defense of Aryan Khan along with other top legal luminaries. And he also engaged for this cause Mr. Mukul Rohatgi. Mr. Karanjawala, this is an interesting turn of events. You had said to me, and I remember that time when we spoke some months ago, once Aryan Khan was out on bail, you said that a large number of skeletons are going to tumble out. How do you react today?
So all I can say is that while we are relieved, we are not surprised. Because I had always said that Aryan Khan's was a case of an innocent being sought to be labelled guilty. And right in the beginning we had pointed out that this was not a case of insufficient evidence, this was a case of no evidence whatsoever. Nothing was found on his possession. No medical evidence was laid to show that he had at any stage of his life consumed drugs. All that they relied upon was that someone in the vicinity had a few grams on him, and they tried to plant it on him through the concept of conscious possession, which fortunately the courts did not adhere to. They gave us bail, though it took a long time, it took about 28 days. And today we find that the Narcotics Control Bureau agrees with what we said almost 6-8 months ago.
Now, and I want to ask you, this is very interesting, because Mr. Karanjawala, obviously if this was all concocted, if this was perhaps an elaborate attempt and a motivated one, as the SIT says, to somehow implicate, and I'm quoting the SIT here, Aryan Khan in this drug case, do you think that the people who were motivated were acting alone, or was there a political dimension to this entire matter?
So this is not something I'm going to speculate on, because frankly, as the lawyer for the client, my only question is, at the moment, verifying what I had always said, which is that he was innocent. Whether there was a political motive, whether there was no political motive, whether there was a conspiracy, that's not really something that we're going to go into. And I don't think that was really gone into us even at the stage of arguing bail.
Mr. Karanjawala, how is it that in the arrest order, and I have it right here in front of me, the memo of arrest as it's called, the memo of arrest states that at the time of Aryan Khan's arrest, there was 13 grams of cocaine on him, 5 grams of MD, 21 grams of charas, 22 pills of MDMA and 1,33,000 rupees, which suggested that there was some transaction. And Aryan Khan also goes on to sign this particular document, and here it is in my hand, and you can see that he writes very clearly, I understood grounds of my arrest and informed the same to my family members on mobile number such and such, and that's been sort of tamped out, blacked out. How does this happen?
Obviously the memo of arrest was false or inaccurate, there's no doubt on that. And I don't know what condition the boy was in when he signed, if he signed.
So do you think he was forced into doing this? And if so, that's a very grave offense. And what do you propose to do?
I think we've laid our defense for the court. At the moment now, it's for the family to decide whether they want to do anything further. At the moment, the NCB has said that he's innocent, that there was nothing found on his possession, and that he's free to continue with his life in a normal way.
Well, obviously, you want justice, therefore, for Aryan Khan. It's pretty obvious. He's been declared an innocent, so to speak, by the SIT. But it is obviously meant that he's had to spend time in jail, obviously illegally. Should there be no recompense? Do you think that there should be recompense of some sort?
But there's always, that's a philosophical question that everybody who is an under trial, who goes to jail and then comes out and is ultimately found innocent, sort of has to struggle and deal with. It's how the system works, and that's what it is.
No, all I'm saying is because he has the means. A lot of people don't have the means and they can't make an example of the system. I think to stop a system going out of control like this, One needs to therefore make an example. Would you recommend, would you personally recommend to Mr. Shah Rukh Khan that he should perhaps, on the behalf of his son, or perhaps his son himself, should now prosecute in turn the NCB officials who did this to him?
Well, speaking for myself as a lawyer to Aryan Khan, unless my opinion was specifically sought on this, I wouldn't give it.
You wouldn't give it?
I choose to confine myself to the facts of the case as they were. I wouldn't volunteer such opinions by myself.
Now, you made a very interesting statement. You said that there was never any question of your client being involved in any which way. When were you convinced of this? What was that turning point?
No, I was convinced when we first got involved in the case and we were told the facts of the case. I mean, I wasn't involved in the case on day one. I wasn't involved at all through the Sessions Court. So we had the only knowledge we had of the case was what the press and other people had apprised us. It's only when at the High Court level my firm got involved. Two of my partners, Sandeep Kapoor and Ruby, went to Bombay. When we brought in Mukul Rohtgi and added to the already existing team of Amit Desai and Satish Mani Shinde, when my people got into the facts that, and when I was apprised of the same, when we saw the facts for ourselves, when we saw the record, that's when we were convinced. And we weren't involved from the first day.
Right.
We got in at the High Court stage.
And what were the conversations you had with SRK on this, Shah Rukh Khan on this?
Essentially, his conversations were in conferences with both my partners. I hadn't gone down to Bombay for that case. So the detailed conversations were with Sandeep and Ruby. And I just had a preliminary conversation with him when I told him that, look, we'll take on the case and we'll do our best. And I'm glad that we were able to add in our own small way to the ultimate success of the matter.
What did he say to you in defense of his son?
No, he said straight away, I mean, he knew his son was innocent. He knew his son was innocent. He was more worried about the logistics of getting him out. I mean, he didn't come sort of pleading his son's case to me. He just said, look, this is the situation, these are the facts. I mean, it didn't take a genius to realize that he was innocent. The question was, how are we going to convince the court and how are we going to get him out? So our attention was on that, the process of getting what we knew to be an innocent person out of jail.
Mr. Karanjawala, did he ever mention to you that this is an attempt at extorting him?
No, never.
Never. Okay, because
look, let's be honest about it. I haven't had great dialogues with him on this issue. So, I mean, what his view is, I don't know.
Oh, I'm only saying that because in the context of the story as it was unfolding in those fraught days for Aryan Khan, there were people who came forth and said that there was an attempt to extort, and there was this big meeting between one of the managers of Shah Rukh Khan and the other side, the extortionist. You know about all of that, I'm sure, because that was really commented upon in the media, that there were these CCTV pictures to that effect, or videos.
He certainly didn't. See, let's put it this way. My detailed interaction was later, when we'd gone across for lunch at his house, just to sort of, he just wanted to have me and my wife over to sort of thank us for the small role that we played. And certainly all this never came up at that time. That time we were really also talking more about, coping with things and how things coped and so on and so forth. It was an attempt at what should be a relaxed lunch.
And have you spoken to him today at all? It's a happy moment for them, I'm sure, and vindication.
No. Well, no, I messaged him, but I haven't spoken.
What did he say in return?
No, he thanked us, obviously. I mean, what else did he? I mean, and his secretary also sent back saying thank you for all your help and prayers.
Well,